So, as rightly said earlier as well, you need to relook at your manpower. You need to rethink your HR policies. How much manpower you want on payroll? How do you want to function with contract staff? How much do you want to work with trainees? You will need to rethink this. You will need to run a leaner operation. It needs to be smart, but it needs to be highly, highly cost efficient. That is going to be critical. Um, Efficiencies in operation are not just cost, but they're efficiencies of time. That is what we need to teach our staff. So training, I think, is going to become extremely, extremely critical as we go forward. Everybody knows how important training is, but I'm talking about time management, critical time management. You need to complete a room in 25 minutes. You need to complete it in 25 minutes. Don't have the luxury of 35 minutes because every time you exceed, you are asking for more people. So every single area, be it service, be it housekeeping, everywhere you need to bring efficiencies to scale. Reduce your heavy print advertising spends going forward. Your direction should be focused a little more on digital media and online marketing, because if we are looking at the shorter period, then your online will move faster as compared to your offline, especially for the mid-scale business hotels, especially for the business destinations. Your sales and target marketing is what one should be looking at, so that because that is what's going to connect us directly with our consumer, our feeder accounts in the short term. Open areas and outlets in the hotels as per demand when we are, as an industry, getting up and about and relaunching after this lockdown does open. There's no point opening up everything with a bang. Doesn't make any sense. Partly open up inventory, partly open up outlets. There's no point in having 4 outlets running at the same time. You don't know what your footfall is going to be. So pace it out. Keep yourself comfortable and put in the resources and manpower accordingly. See the results and keep moving as you go along. Spend on channels with direct revenue return with areas that have guest visibility and impact. That is what will count. Go back to reviewing and connecting with the guests that have cancelled their bookings from March onwards. Of course, that is, I don't think I need to say that, but that is your lowest hanging fruit to go for it. Most importantly, at every level of companies, units, properties, you have, we've, like I mentioned earlier, we've already made very radical decisions in controlling the outflows in the last fortnight. Question again will remain: how many of these policies can we continue to utilize effectively to control once operational normality actually returns? Your teams are the ones that are going to make it happen. We can all sit down, make decisions, we can put them down, circulate them, follow them up, but every single person, right down to the grassroots level, needs to understand the importance of sustainability now. So be it a toothpick, be it a straw, be it a teaspoon, everything needs to be assessed. They need to understand how important it is, and automatically it will move up the line and will make your life easier. I'll just leave you with one thought. Going forward, what COVID has made us realize is that the ecosystem is extremely fragile. The economy was turned around global economy was turned around within a span of a month. The impacts are going to be felt for years. We need to now sit back and reevaluate how we conduct our business, and we need to rethink our core values. Sustainability is not just about money management. Sustainability is going to be basically about, we talk about going green. We think going green, but we don't do going green. Plan your capex over the next 12 months, 18 months. Invest into sustainable energy. It's extremely important. I think coronavirus was just an excuse. There could be something else on the horizon you don't know. Keywords for the industry next 18 months: sanitized, hygienic, healthy, eco-friendly, no plastic, recycle. These are basically the few mantras that you're working with going forward. And how do you do it? Reduce your chemicals for laundry. Introduce the 2-night wash principle for your laundry, your linen. That's very, very important. A lot of us do it, a lot of us don't. I think it's great. Save your natural resource, save your chemical pollutants. Start shifting over to biodegradable chemicals. I think for in companies like Hindustan Lever and all who we deal with, as an industry, as one composite forum, we must tell them, biodegradable chemicals are there, they're expensive. We need to ask them to bring it down, make it more cost effective, and start using those. Properties should look at composting. Very, very important instead of using artificial fertilizer. Doesn't make any sense. Um, do your own composting. You'll have far better horticulture. You'll be using your complete waste. You will not be using plastic bags to you can carry out throwing that waste. Get into organic toiletries, organic foods, rainwater harvesting. Absolute must. I know the government dictates that it is mandated, especially for new hotels, but I think every property can do it wherever it is possible. Water is going to become a scarce resource, whether we like it or we don't. It is going to happen eventually. Um, Start looking at low flow shower heads, basin aerators, low flow urinals and toilet bowls. Very, very important. So, just a couple of things. We need to start thinking sustainability, which is with the business as well as the environment that we work in. And our teams need to be 100% involved. They need to be supportive. A higher sense of ownership needs to be imparted, and then your control wastage will automatically deliver operating efficiency.
Thanks, Mehan. It was very well detailed out, and I think the ownership has to be with the grassroots employees, the grassroots level. I think this is a very, very important thing which needs to be understood and implemented also. Uh, the last question to Mr. Manish Gupta. It was, I think, timed in such a way that the banyan tree tie-up which you planned in times earlier with Hatu Hospitality, it actually got announced through a press release very very recently during the COVID time. So Manish, we would like you to just focus and just share with the team as to what brand redevelopment you are planning and how you are looking at diversification within the market.
Yeah, because Yangon, Myanmar used to be a primary market for European travelers, and as she also have said, and we are also seeing that the COVID-19 is going to be impacting the travel industry for a very very long period of time. Like if we get used to of working from home, no travel, no business meetings, then the business hotels would be impacted. So we did not sign the banyan tree. We were not negotiating the banyan tree with in regards to COVID. It was running for like a year. So the idea behind tying up with banyan tree was that we were trying to, because banyan tree has a very strong presence in China and other countries, and Two Hospitality is expert in local Burmese hospitality, but we don't have a brand overseas. We are not known overseas that much as banyan tree. So idea behind was to combine these two brand powers with the global standards of banyan tree, local knowledge of Two Hospitality, and also market diversification, so that Myanmar does not have to rely on European travelers when it comes to value traveling, but also expanding it Southeast Asia, specifically China and other countries where banyan tree has the presence already. So we were planning and we were hoping that the new brand that we will be developing together with banyan tree will be appealing to not only European travelers, because that was already known. Our existing brand is already known among European travelers, not so much in Chinese, but the banyan tree is known in Chinese. So we were hoping that the new brand that we would be co-developing together would be appealed to a global audience. And regarding the sustainability, because banyan tree has core values which are very highly geared towards the sustainability. True Hospitality itself also is geared towards the local power, local people's empowerment, and sustainable growth towards the environment. So we thought that the two brands are working alike. So it's an ideal match to combine together. That's the why this we were working on this for last 1 year. It is just a coincidence that it is announced during the March, because the agreement, I mean, the joint venture was signed on 16th of March in Singapore.
Right. Great. So, thank you so much. We will now open the questions for all our participants who can ask questions one by one.
I would request everyone to kindly unmute their mic, and only the speaker would unmute the mic. Rest all can actually, keep the mute. Please start. Yes, Mr. Harpreet Singh, please.
For Shiv.
Yes,
It
Harpreet.
was a very nice presentation, very detailed, very informative, and well thought out. Being from the HR perspective, I have a simple question. How do you ensure retention? How do you ensure retention once you've gone through this bad phase of probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks? I don't know. Nobody knows how much long it will take. But how do you ensure that after this lockdown is over, the staff which you took good care of, gave them all the facilities and the best of the services. How do you ensure that they are retained with you? They don't move away. They don't move away.
So,
What will happen is that there's going to be
sorry, I'm losing you, Harpreet.
there'll be a lot of jobs available in the market, right? For
Yes.
example, you have a CDP working with you, right? He would have an opportunity to work as a sous chef somewhere else. Similarly, in all departments, people will get a growth opportunity.
Yes.
Maybe an increment in the sale in the salary also. But how do you ensure that they are retained with you, that they don't go away? That's my question.
See, it's a very valid question, Harpreet. But let's look at it in two parts. Um, Unfortunately, because of the lockdown, I think we already know that in the last 3 weeks or so, there has already been a lot of release of staff within the industry itself. A lot of staff has been relieved from various properties, various destinations, and there is enough manpower available right now in the market for recruitment. The other aspect that I look at it as is um, how we actually keep our people. Um, it's important when there was a keyword that I had used across wherein I had mentioned communication. Now that communication is not just having a chat. That communication is actually a connection. I'll give you a small example. Whether it is our general managers, in some properties we do not have the general manager on board. Either the operations manager is there, or the executive assistant manager is over there. Whether the general manager or us at the corporate office, including myself, we are actually getting onto a video call each day with every single one of the team members. So we actually have them sit down in a group and we actually chat with them face to face. That emotional connect is extremely important. You are providing a certain level of security. We don't ask them how their work is. We actually ask them how their families are. This is actually not the time where our standard thought processes and our standard HR practices will work. We need to get personal with people. We need to understand what everybody is going through. The insecurities are extremely important, and that's where the connect comes in. Having said that, um, if you are continuing to give them that sense of security, you continue to give them that assurance in terms of future productivity, future progress, future growth. Um, you will, I'd say, manage to retain a very larger percentile of the people, because whether COVID or not, uh, I think I'm a very strong believer of the fact that uh, it's not the salary or the package that actually makes people move. That is actually number two or number three in the grid. And I say this from factual assessment of having done a property as a general manager for many, many years. Uh, what the working environment is extremely important to people. And secondly, whether they enjoy their job or not. That means, are they getting some mental growth? Do they have comfort? Do they have clarity in their work? Do they have is the thought process or the instruction deliverables coming from the top, are those correct? It allows the people to work better. It allows a person to work far more comfortably. I think those two are the most important key factors that we need to keep in mind. Salaries and offers and those options will always be there in the market, but I'd say you can't keep them all. But I'd say even if you manage to retain 7 out of the 10, I think your job is largely done. You can't win all of them.
Right. We would
After
want the
thank you.
we would request the next question to be posed by Abhay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
You're
Yes.
audible,
Yes,
but you
yes,
can
yes.
also put your video on if you wish to.
Taran, I'm having
It's
some
okay.
issues there.
No problem.
But
Please
yes,
carry on.
I'm facing a situation currently, as everybody is aware, with the COVID-19. Our hotel, being a prominent business hotel and a very established hotel since about last 30 years, we have been approached by the government to sort of move forward and help them make our hotel a quarantine center, basically a quarantine isolation center, if need be. There have been other hotels that have been also approached and given notices for the same. My question, sir, here is that this is now going to pose as a very big challenge for me, because the mindset that a guest basically would have, if at all any quarantine isolated patient has a positive, unfortunately has a positive test, this would deter the general public, which is a regular guest at our restaurant, as well as the corporates that are coming in, as well as a lot of other guests that who patronize our hotel in the future. So my question is, how and what practices could we do to damage control this after effects, sir?
Well,
So you want this question to
If Mr. Schiff could sort of take up this question.
I think we can leave this question open to the forum. There are lots of other people also. My
Sure,
my
sure,
only
sure,
take
sure, sir.
my only take on this, the only thing I can leave you with is that, in all honesty, we were asked for the same thing at some of our locations where we have business hotels. Uh, um, in all honesty, I think we've already seen a couple of cases, not to name some hotels, but we've already seen a couple of cases where patients have tested positive and the hotels have been sealed down for sanitation. Um, assisting the authorities in this particular period of time is one part of it. The only downside of giving such assistance and such what you call responsible assistance, I'd say, is the media. Because you could have a case, all right, the hotel will come, they'll get it sanitized, everything will be back to normal, the teams will also be able to handle it. But having said that, the media creates far more damage for us by putting up those hotels. It's out in the news, it's out on WhatsApp, it's out on all the digital channels that the hotel's been sealed and there was a case for tested positive, blah 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 blah. That is far more damaging for your unit's reputation, and because that is what the other guest is going to see, and that is exactly what his takeaway is going to be from that. Having said that, it is an individual call. However, what I would say is that please restrict a very very fixed part of your inventory, maybe just the lowest floors towards the lobby for something like this, and segregate everything above that. If you 1% chance have any long staying guests already at your hotel who have been unable to move, as in the case of many properties, then please keep them on the upper floors and keep a very very clear gap between this. Number one, keep absolutely fixed staff and restrictive staff just to handle these floors. Do not keep changing them. That is a mistake. And let those people also be in quarantine within the hotel and not moving around elsewhere. all supplies, etc., for such a floor must be pre-allocated and kept in your floor pantries so that people are not coming in and out and getting all those all the time. And then because you're opening up multiple channels within the hotel for access and flow to get this through. Basically, the idea is, like I said, create a unit within the unit. Like we create categories of hotels, categories of rooms in hotel. So create this complete category and segregate it and let it be self-contained and self-sufficient as much as possible. And everything needs to be contactless. So anyone who's servicing across over there, please gloves, please face masks, immediate sanitization. Uh, if we do not have the luxury in our staff lockers, then please allocate two separate guest rooms, strip them down, let the staff servicing those particular rooms use those washrooms only. That would be far better so that they can sanitize themselves and then step out. So we need to look at it from the point of view of look at it as a nursing home and not as a hotel.
Right. I think that answers Abhay's question.
Mr. Atul Shukla, you may ask your question, please.
Hi, this is Atul Shukla. I'm the Principal Institute of Hotel Management, Faridabad, and Principal Institute of Hotel Management, Panipat. I just want to ask both the panelists or both the guest speakers today, how much time, because it's very tough for us for convincing our budding hoteliers, because they are the next 2-3 years, they how they are thinking. This is my question to them.
Sorry, I couldn't get the reference to context. So, where is the dilemma?
I'm asking that about the budding hoteliers. Like we are running the hotel management schools.
Yes. So the students.
Because we have to convince them also. We have to convince them how much time it will take to turn up the things. It's like that.
Okay. See, we are. I don't think anybody on this panel or anyone is an authority or doesn't have first-hand knowledge. We read, we find out, we talk to people, and we sort of take an educated guess. But for a calculated guess that we could make in our company when we discuss it, please assume that it is going to take nothing less than 3 months. What we always say is plan for the worst and hope for the best. So take it that April and May, whatever is going to happen is probably going to happen June. That's one part. The children who are already in their final year in their college or who already finished their exams and are ready to pass out, I think they just need to be a little patient at this point in time. The industry, the government guidelines on labor were very, very clear. Retrenchment is to be avoided at all costs. So for the people who have either been sent on leave, who have been sent on privilege leave, for trainees that have been relieved by hotels and the industry is going to want to take their people back as soon as they possibly can. They will always be the first choice. Having said that, I would never suggest for you being as a principal to give them. Let's not give anybody a rosy picture. Let's be honest and let's be straight up. It is always better because then there is no disappointment. We need to tell them it's a difficult time. They need to be patient, and the only thing that I would turn around and tell them is that whatever they do get at the end of this particular period, they should take up. It's a question of gaining experience at their age. It is a question of learning the ropes at their age. It's far more important. Somebody wants to go into F&B and become a captain or wants to become a supervisor, he may not get that chance. If he's getting the option to become a senior steward, go ahead, take it. Don't sit back and waste your time. Experience is what counts at the end of the day, not anything else. So you'd rather pick up the ropes, you'd rather learn the ropes, you'd rather get experience in the industry rather than getting picky and choosy. So pay scales, again, payrolls are going to be hit everywhere across the board. We see companies cutting back. We are seeing senior management taking cutbacks so that sustainability is achieved within companies. the new boys who are passing out should not expect flowers and frills getting into the industry going forward.
Yeah.
If the basic pickup was at a scale of 12,000 or 15,000 in cities, even if it's going to come down and you're getting an offer as a trainee assistant steward at 9,000 bucks, take it. Don't sit back. And then
Right.
it's entirely up to you. At whatever level you might have joined, it's entirely up to you as to how successful you're going to make this. So, but please tell them to be patient. And that doesn't go for just the students. It goes for, I think, a lot of us. It goes for a lot of our staff. Everybody, be it senior management, be it mid-level management, we all have a challenging time. We all need to be patient. We all need to be wise. Take it at a step at a time. The market's going to be very, very fluid. Uh, our guess is as good as yours. We won't know till it doesn't happen. So
Right.
I think
I
that's
think
the way
that's
to
the
do.
right way, Shiv. I think that's the right way to go forward. Manish, what's your take on this, please?
Well, I think I agree with Shiv. The situation will recover most likely in 3 months, even though we are not 100% sure of that. But even after that, as we know, we are going to be in the rainy season, in the slow, so-called off season until October. So business is not going to be there in major cities. There will be a psychological barrier for any guest around the world to travel in any country. The visa restrictions are not going to go away that fast. So it's not going to be very easy business until probably by September, October. By that time, when the so-called high season will come back, the business travel will start to come back, the leisure travel will come back. Even having said that, the economy is going to be affected very badly. So people may not have that much of spending power in coming months or in coming months to spend on the leisure travel. So we are going to be in a difficult situation, and we need, yes, you are right, we know we don't need to paint the rosy picture that okay, after 3 months or 6 months everything gonna be all right, business will come back. We are going to be in difficult times until I would say most likely until the end of the year. So that's the worst. So you can tell them that you need be patient, and as Shiv said, whatever opportunity comes, just take it, because there will be a tons of job cutbacks. Even though government is stopping the retrenchment, even in Myanmar here, we normally close the hotels during the off season as a standard operating procedure. The beach hotels are closed. The most of the hotels, because of low occupancy, are closed during the rainy period. So especially for, and usually we cut back the employees to, let's say, half of them working at the property, half of them staying at the property. We cut back all the trainees, we send them back. We also run a hotel management school in Myanmar here by our own company. So we used to take these peoples into the job, on the job training, but because the business is low, we already have trained staff, so we are not taking any further on the job trainees. We are just taking only a very few of them because that is the required number by government to take. So it's not going to be easy thing. The advice to the budding hoteliers would be, whatever chance comes up in your career, what, let's just take it up, even as a waiter, even as a steward, even as a housekeeper, cleaner, because experience is what it matters. And they are not experienced yet in handling these kind of crises. I mean, these are like the hotels are being turned into a quarantine center.